So we got another voiceover for this one post filming it, if that makes sense. You'll see here a lot of the clips where I was explaining I've just sped up, which honestly is a bit of a shame because this one especially I think was the first one where I took my time to explain what I was doing, why I was doing it, but nevertheless it's not going to be too complicated. But I haven't watched through all of this video in one go. I'm just kind of winging it from the edit, which is kind of what I like to do because I can then actually focus on the exercise itself rather than a different topic. So starting off here with seated cable rows, as you can see. The grip is just a standard, not a metal handle grip, which a lot of gyms have. It's the same shape, but this one is plastic with kind of grips for your fingers to go, so nice and ergonomic. Similar setup to what they have when I use the grips in Gran Canaria. I think they're called Tyron. But honestly, I will only do cable row or actually any sort of kind of horizontal row strict like this. Probably only one in every like 3 back days, I'd say. And that's just because for me, my upper back, which is kind of what I'm working here, as you can see, my rhomboids, upper traps, that sort of stuff, personally, and rear delts, I feel are quite ahead of the game when it comes to my overall physique, but then also my back as well. So if I have a preference, I definitely want to be improving my lats, which is why over the next few weeks and months, you'll see all the footage there is much more focused towards kind of lat bias training. But I think at this point in time, I had a tiny little niggle in my shoulder. And after going to private physio before, my physiotherapist basically told me that I need to do more scapular retraction. And yeah, so I've taken that advice the second time round, and it actually did me really good because I remember that injury was cleared up literally very, very quickly. So that's something for you guys to think about, not just in terms of balancing your physique for the aesthetics, but also for the purpose of movement and just overall biomechanics. If you can ensure that your body is, you know, working as a unit, it's okay to have some biases, like especially if you play a sport, you know, if you're a swimmer or if you're a hockey player or something like that, you're going to want different muscle groups compared to if you're like a horse rider or if you are a long distance runner. So, you know, it's okay to bias things, but then an overall health as well to just stop yourself getting injuries, then that's ideal. Because obviously if you're getting injuries, that's going to affect your sporting career or just your everyday lifestyle. So yeah, cable rows here, just ripping these pretty medium weight, I'd say. I did do these the other day, and I think I was doing the full stack for like a good set of between 8 and 12. So strength has come up really well, and every now and then when I do these, I can demonstrate like a good amount of that horizontal pulling strength, which is nice. I do a lot of stuff which is diagonal, so it isn't just strictly vertically pulling down like a pull up or something like that. I actually do arch my back a lot here, you can see, and that's basically to get stretch in my upper back. I do find for me that it really helps. If I go too quick, which basically would happen if I didn't lean forward as much, because then there'd be a less range of motion. So for the cable to pull all the way back to the left of the screen and then to the right again would take less time. And you could argue that I could slow it down, but as you can see here, I'm really not doing it too quickly in my opinion. And you know, not that there is such a thing as too quickly if you can argue it that it works, but I mean, for me, this is a nice controlled set and I'm still able to, you know, make it last a really long time per rep. So time of detention there is crazy. But in the past, I have kept my shoulders pinned back, scapula retracted, gone for it that way. And I'd say if I do teach clients, you know, when I used to teach in person, that's the typical method that I would teach. And then you can progress on to, you know, kind of leaning over, getting more range of motion, focus on the eccentric. But overall, you're going to start with the most safe, well-balanced regime really. So same if you're doing like squats, you know, really I'd sort of teach squats first, and then in the past I would try and demonstrate close stance squats or things like that, you know, or like a single leg split squat. Obviously that can come further on once you know that the client is actually healthy and their knees are able to take the weight. But anyway, that's far in the past now, but just to kind of use that as a reference point in terms of what you're able to do and starting from the most basic and then working up based on your ability. So again, unfortunately didn't get to see the explanation for this specific exercise here. I just sped through because obviously there was no audio connected, but basically I think what I was trying to say was something along the lines of I literally, even more so than cable row, never do this exercise. Not that there's anything wrong with this exercise, but unfortunately just the machine, as you can see, I'm on the absolute lowest seat and my arms are still hitting the top there. So this is actually a nice point to tie into the last exercise about full range of motion. I'm trying to stretch my arms up as far as physically possible, so therefore the muscles getting stretched to its absolute kind of maximum potential within a safe range. But on this machine, even with the seat like way down there, look, which kind of already puts me in a bit of a strange pull-in position, I'm still not able to stretch fully. So what I'm doing here is actually racking the weight and then taking a second to pause and pull again, because what I find that if I just go through the set and do, you know, 8, 10, 11, 12, you know, anywhere sort of up to 15 reps all in one go, as soon as I get sort of 70% of the way up to the top of the machine there, my brain is only thinking about don't hit the machine, and I have to kind of gauge how far I've got, and that's almost purely just based off of my senses, because obviously I'm not looking directly up and there's nothing that I can really see to show me that or indicate how far I am. Not that I would really want to be staring at that anyway. So for example, on an ab machine, I'll sometimes look for the first few reps to see how far I've got until the weight stack hits the bottom. Heavy strength building exercise, but after a few reps I'm good to go. But on this, I just want to be able to focus on, you know, heavy, in my opinion, for what I want to use it for. So don't ever really do this exercise, but again, just for the benefit of mixing things up, and especially also because I started with a different exercise, my brain is already then a lot more open-minded, and I'm not thinking, oh right, let's try this for the second exercise because last week I was able to get this many reps. So yeah, mixing it up, but then again, you'll see when I return to the next back day in the future, the exercises will probably be very similar to what I've done in the past, purely because I'm trying to burn out my lats and kill those a lot more. So here I am actually moving on to a lat pull down, which definitely not going to be going as strong as I would be if I was fresh, but still here you can see like a few pins off the bottom. I don't actually know if I've done the full stack here on video. I think I did it a few weeks ago. I'm not trying to do it really for like ego. Maybe once I did it just to see how many reps I could get, but it's got to the point now where I've literally worked up to that for like a full set, so that's really nice. And I'm basically absolutely loving the mag grip as well, which you'll see the neutral grip that I'm using here. However, this machine is actually now out of use, and I think I did say in a few videos ago that very soon I reckon it will be, you know, either replaced or out of order, and long behold, that is what's happened. So I've now moved my lat pull downs to a different machine, which luckily they do have in this gym, which is cool. They're not just limited to one. That one is much more brand new, but this one just felt kind of old and rustic, and it was really comfortable and just worn in. But nevertheless, switch things over to there. I have had this and I'm now on the full stack for a set of like 8 to 10 kind of clean, so that's working really well. But anyway, not to get too much into that, this set here you can see I'm also taking a bit of time at the top to kind of pause, catch my breath. You could argue that this is making the set easier, you could argue harder. I have had this thought process when I'm doing the seated shoulder press machine, because sometimes when I actually let the weight rack at the bottom, because I've then got that extra depth to try and push out of, if that makes sense, it actually makes it a little bit harder. But then also you do get a second to kind of readjust, reestablish and gain your oxygen back. So yeah, again, you could argue both ways, and I think ultimately what you actually train for is going to be the easiest. So once you are doing an exercise for more than a few times in a row, your body gets used to that. So yeah, finishing with that. So I guess that was maybe just 3 exercises there, I think, which honestly, like 3 exercises, 2 or 3 sets of each till insane intensity. Obviously I'm going, in my opinion, to the absolute max, no reps in reserve, partial reps, everything like that. It is gonna, you know, kill me off pretty quickly. So that's why I don't often do back and biceps together anymore. I like to just do my back and then focus on biceps or arms another day, but sometimes I will do a pull day, and it just depends on what I'm feeling. So yeah, pose down here and can definitely see from like a few weeks ago that the lower abs are coming through a little bit more already. Don't forget guys, I have said this a few times, but obviously I know there are new people joining the channel. The videos that I post aren't every single day, so if I do a home workout in my home gym, I'll usually live stream it, and therefore you'll just see the big workouts that are at the commercial gyms or at the family owned gyms or whatever you want to call them. But here I was obviously doing a big back day, so I filmed that, but that doesn't mean that the day before was the video before. So there has been a fair few days in between perhaps, but nevertheless fat is still coming off really well, and yeah, it's nice to see that progress coming in quickly. But I will say this mini cut that I didn't have a single cheat day or anything like that, because I wanted to just get it done as quickly as possible. Obviously if I wanted to, if I had a reason for it, I would have programmed that in, but ultimately realistically all that's going to do is slow down my progress. So if I don't need it, there's no point in just basically stopping myself from being as lean as I want. If I want to be leaner quicker, may as well just stick to the plan and go all the way through. So yeah, that being said, if you guys do feel like you're going to burn out, then it is smarter to methodically place a cheat day or a kind of refeed day, rather than actually just completely going overboard and just snapping and, you know, going through the cupboards. I've been there many times before. Now I've got better discipline and I just know my goals and I know my body better. But yeah, in the past 100%, especially when I was at university, and and I was, you know, sharing houses and stuff like that, and there'd be other influences there, it is really difficult sometimes to stay on track. That also goes with bulking as well. I know many people struggle with bulking, so that's not just to say that it's easy dieting. It can all be difficult. It just depends what your preference is. So yeah, pretty much done with the video here, guys, so I'll leave it there. But the next one I am 99% sure is with cardio and a voiceover, so a little bit different there, but still something for you guys to enjoy. So thanks for sticking around and watching this one. Any other suggestions for challenge videos, gyms that I should visit in the UK, or any other topics that you want me to cover in the voiceovers if I do forget to plug the mic in, which is sometimes unfortunate but does happen, drop it down in the comments. All my links are down below, Instagram, things like that, my sponsors. And yeah, appreciate you guys joining this one. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one. The only way is up.